The naked truth. Here's why Jeema'S Katerega hates Bobi Mulengera News.com, by WALAKIRA Joshua, December 7, 2023 at 1:30 p.m. by Mulengera Reporters. While in London, Bobi Wine spoke on BBC and among other things claimed that President YKT Museveni was behind the anti-gay bill and that the overall objective was to put him, Bobi, between a rock and hard place, including complicating his relationship either with international partners or with the Ugandan populace. The legislation was popular with ordinary Ugandans, among whom Mr. Wine is very popular but at the same time very unpopular with Western powers and actors amongst whom the NUP leader enjoys good support. So, if he ever took a stand, and required his roughly 60 MPs to do the same, Mr. Wine risked diminishing his acceptability either among Ugandans or international partners. Apparently, this is the dilemma he was trying to explain away during his BBC interview while claiming Gen Museveni was deliberately behind this. The anti-gay law came as a private member's bill and the mover was none other than Bugiri Municipality MP Asuman Basalirwa, whose 2018 and 2021 win in Bugiri Municipality was undeniably personally enabled by Mr. Wine, and yet the NUP leader's comments on BBC risked portraying Asuman Basalirwa, already being branded a fifth columnist by many, as an agent of the junta, as millions of opposition supporters contemptuously refer to General Museveni these days. This naturally explains why JEMA political party, which has only 1 megapixel Asuman Basalirwa, is angry and feels betrayed. The JEMA anger was last evening articulated by their long-serving Secretary-General, the very calculative Mulengera Katerega, who says Mr. Wine must publicly apologize to JEMA. Yet there has always existed some uneasy relationship between JEMA and NUP, especially after Mr. Wine, who they first worked with under People Power, resorted to recruiting their own prominent members into the NUP party he subsequently incorporated. Such members include Aisha Kabanda, who now serves as Deputy SG for NUP and Woman MP for Butambala District. Her defection hurt many at the Mengo-based political party because they counted on her then impending Butambala win to grow their numbers in parliament. Kabanda, who is married to Omar Kalanj Nyago, a leading JEMA ideologue and had been losing the Butambala race on many occasions, finally won in 2021 courtesy of the Kayagulani wave, and is currently the Butambala Woman MP. Jeema believes this would be their win if Bobi Wine, who single-handedly delivered Basalirwa, who had failed many times, hadn't upstaged them. The first time the now very damaged politician became MP was during the by-election of 2018, but even during 2021, Asuman Basalirwa, who was already beginning to crack before voters, easily bounced back largely because of the Kayagulani solidarity. Good as this was, the decision-makers in JEMA chose to continue hurting about the Aisha Kabanda loss and ended up vigorously fronting candidates against those fronted by Mr. Wine's NUP in 2021 general elections. Kamwakya demanded that Jeema'S candidates, good as they were, would only benefit from the Basalirwa-like endorsement if they defected to NUP now that Mr. Wine, their PP partner, had a political party of his own. Conservatives like Imam Kasozi, Haji Abbas Kimba, Ph.D., who is also an eminent literature professor at Makerere, Dr. Kibiraj Mayanja and others felt this demand amounted to Kamanyiro, lack of courtesy and being ungrateful by Bobi Wine, who they claimed to have funded at some point under PP. That's how the party invested in popularizing the Minzani, the weighing scale, as their candidate's symbol for 2021. And in some places, JEMA had pretty good candidates, namely Abdul Noor Kyamandu in Makindi, Sarahe Kafamba in Rubaga South, etc. Even in Bukomansimbi, they had good candidates with better pedigree than NUP's political upstarts. Mulengera Katerega had for 10 years 2011-2021, served as LC5 chairman for Bukomansimbi and had now formidably offered himself for one of the MP slots, only to be frustrated by the fact that the Kayagulani wave weighed in at the last minute, resulting into his defeat. In Bukomansimbi, where he stood, Katerega finished in number 4 with 3,076 votes, trailing behind NUP's Christine Endigire Endiwalana, 9,617 votes eventual winner, and NRM's Ruth Katashabe, 6,599, and NRM-leaning independent Idi Lubyai Kisiki, 4,238. So, JEMA officially emerged from the 2021 electioneering season badly bruised and quietly blaming Kayagulani, whose Asuman Basalirwa endorsement in Bugiri was rejected as not being enough. Thus the anger and paranoia with which Katerega writes must be understood against that background. Among the politically more sophisticated wing of JEMA, comprising of the likes of Omar Kalanj Nyago, Mr. Wine is considered unforgivable for failing to translate the political momentum he ignited into a protest movement to overwhelm and oust General YKT Museveni. In fact, having concluded that Mr. Wine, who he had originally embraced, wasn't the serious anti-Museveni politician he had initially taken him to be, the very clandestine Kalanj Nyago ended up falling in bed with Gen Henry Tumukand, of the Kisoboka slogan, who was decisively demonized by the Kayagulani social media crowd throughout the campaigning period. This greatly hurt Nyago even when his wife Aisha Kabanda, a former State House Secretary, Aisha Kabanda without much effort became MP and Deputy Secretary General of a powerful party called NUP. Then on Saturday the 20th of November 2021, months after the January elections had been concluded, JEMA convened dua prayers for their greatest orator Hussein Kionjo, who was preparing to go to India for medical checkup, and invited all political party leaders including Bobi Wine. He didn't turn up yet. The likes of Arias Lukwago, Kizza Besigye, Paul Mawaru, Lubega Mukaku and others did. The event, at which Kionjo made what was to be his last public speech on the Ugandan soil, was attended by top leaders from nearby Buganda Kingdom and the Muslim leadership at Kibuli. At that event, Katerega in his speech threw veiled burbs at Kayagulani and his NUP party, clearly portraying the extreme anger that had been bottling up inside him over the Bukomansimbi loss. Aisha Kabanda came but wasn't recognized that much by Kyamandu, Jeema'S publicist, who was the MC even when Asuman Basalirwa was to later on console her by claiming she had officially represented the Kamwakya-based NUP. There is also the issue of iPod, which NUP has all along demonized, yet for JEMA it's a great platform which ought to be taken very seriously. Then very finally came the most recent EALA elections, during which Katerega stood as the JEMA official candidate only to fail miserably. His defeat was quietly blamed on NUP's official position to boycott EALA elections. Katerega's supporters inside NUP, like Abed Bwanika, even went to CBS radio to castigate the NUP boycott, without which it was argued Katerega, a Muganda and Muslim, would have stood a better chance. Bwanika argued the matter should have been looked at as a Buganda issue, whereby the NUP-dominated Buganda caucus should have taken a position to deliver a block vote for Katerega, who fallaciously believes Mr. Wine hates him personally. But renowned for giving a contempt card to those who attack him, especially small fighters with little name recognition, Mr. Wine will most likely just ignore Katerega's rant that was addressed to him but officially leaked to the media, while leaving the likes of Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro and other foot soldiers to respond. When the Mufumbiros unleash their venom, Jeema'S Secretary Muhammad Katerega IX, whose wife powerfully works in parliament, will look for the tallest grass to hide in. In his letter, Katerega makes it clear that the stabbing in the back by Bobi Wine against fellow opposition leaders has become too much, and JEMA feels now is the time to call him out. There are also sentiments inside JEMA that it's no longer risky to publicly contradict Kayagulani, who they think is beginning to become demystified, as was the case on the eve of 2021 elections, when whoever contradicted him paid a huge price by losing their respective parliamentary races, especially in Buganda. Innocent as they were, Mr. Wine's BBC comments are now being misconstrued by leaders in JEMA as deliberately calculated at undermining Asuman Basalirwa and depriving him of the political capital he is supposed to have derived from the private members' bill he successfully steered through the NRM-dominated House. Basalirwa, who will definitely struggle to retain Bugiri without Wine's endorsement, is already being accused of being too close to some actors inside NRM, including Speaker Anita Among.